right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. This is Anthony Smoak. Go ahead and check me out on anthonysmoak.com. Definitely subscribe here on YouTube. As always, if you learned something, go ahead, leave a comment, hit that like, and make sure you ring the bell so you get that notification when I drop a new video. So today, again, back in Tableau, and this is the COVID-19 tracker. It's Tableau Starter Workbook for you to work with their data. And this is something I did not create this, right? So shout out to Tableau Zen Masters, Anya, Tamas Foldi, Allan Walker, Jonathan Drummey. They're credited with creating this, but you can see that there's some really cool functionality on here. I can go new or cumulative cases, and the KPI, the BAN updates here. You can go positive cases, or you can show deaths, right? And that's going to change your bar chart and your map here. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to break down how this KPI was put together. I thought it was really interesting and cool how this updates based upon the parameter that you select, right? So if you go in here, all right, let me go to, let me hit escape. We'll go to sheet, and you'll see within their workbook, right, you have all of these values, you have all of these calculated fields. So, you may not have time to try and figure out, what's going on here, but I have the time, right? So this is my hobby. This is how I learn. Learning and then sharing. That's what I do. So I've gone through the workbook and just tried to figure out how they came up with these calculations and how everything comes together to enable this type of functionality, right? So the reason you may be wondering why it took me so long to put out a new video, and I'll say I just took the Tableau Desktop Certified Associate test and passed. You can see, issued to me, verified. And so I just wanted to thank you for helping me, right? So by you watching the videos and commenting and liking, you help me learn more, which makes it easier for me to pass these tests, right? So it's certainly, I'm not going to say it was easy, but it's definitely a certification you can pass if you've been working with Tableau. I'd say 6 to 8 months. Go ahead and take your certified associate desktop, but start with the specialist first. So just wanted to throw that in there. Again, thank you for your role in my success. I really appreciate it. So let's take a look here. What I did, right? I have a slimmed down version of the Tableau created starter workbook. And so my intent wasn't to rebuild the dashboard, right? I just wanted to understand how this KPI worked. How did this cumulative positive cases, right? I've got cumulative, and obviously I can change that to new, right? All of this will change. I just wanted to understand how the calculations worked here. Wasn't trying to reproduce the dashboard to make it look like an exact replica. Just wanted to understand. So we're going to break down the fields, the calculations needed to build out this KPI, right? And so if this video is a success, we'll dive deeper into the dashboard and maybe look at some of the other, how this is put together as well for our bar charts and maps, but that's another video. We're going to focus here for now. If we look underneath the hood here on my calculations, going to go to sheet, you'll see, right, I have this kind of hierarchy of calculations, and you'll see let's start here. We need a number of date calculations to make this work, right? And we'll create all of these. A couple of these are Booleans. That's why I have true, false. And you'll see we need a number of calculations here in order to build out the KPI. And so I kind of got this numbering system because this is kind of the main calculation here, and the number 2s here build off of number 1, and the number 3s build off of number 2s, and then these determine the sign, the direction of the sign. So we're going to build out all of these calculations and put together this new positive cases or cumulative positive cases. We're gonna put this together. So where do we get the data from? Glad you asked. Let's go over here. This is Tableau.com, COVID-19 Coronavirus Data Resources. And if you scroll down here, right, this is the COVID-19 Cases Starter Workbook that I told you about. And again, credits to the Zen masters that put this together. If you want to be good at this, if you want to get better at Tableau, you need to study what the top people are doing, right? And so that's what we're doing. I have the time to break down, what's going on, and hopefully make it a little easier for you to understand, right? So you can download the workbook if you want and play around with it and try and figure it out on your own. But I would suggest, get the data, right? So we can get the data from data.world. I do a CSV file direct download. You can also, do your web data connector, but I just get the CSV file downloaded and then start playing with it in Tableau. And that's where we're going to pick up building out the calculations. Okay, and then once you hit the link for the direct CSV download, you'll come to data.world, and this is the CSV that I downloaded, COVID-19 Activity CSV, right? And then you can take a look at the the columns, little metadata here to understand what all the fields are. If you have done my previous COVID dashboard exercises, we use this older data set, COVID-19 Cases CSV. So this data set was retired, I should say, but you can still download it and use it for my previous COVID exercise. So that's important to know, but this is the updated data set we're going to be using to put together the KPI that I showed you earlier. And so, I've got a new workbook open here, again using Tableau Public. I should probably do this every video just to show which version I'm using, 2020.2, with the new data modeling and everything, but we're just using the CSV. And so there are some fields here. Let me show you what's going on with the data. And so I brought in some fields here, and I'm only filtered by United States as the country short name. And when you put the date in here, these are our important columns that we really care about. So let's take a look at people positive cases count. This is more of a cumulative or running sum, I should say. So if we go down here to the bottom, as of 7/31, right? I'm not using the latest greatest because we're in the mid-August right now, but as of 7/31, the end of July, U.S. cumulatively showing 4.5 million cases. And then if you look at the positive new cases count, these are new cases by date, right? So you can't just sum this, right? You're going to get some huge number because it's cumulative, it's a running sum. But this is the new cases by date. Same thing for deaths. U.S. 153,000 deaths, but then on a daily basis, you can see the number here. So these are the fields that we're going to be using for our KPI build out, right? Another thing that I want to show here on the data is that if you look at the report date, so for United States, you'll notice that the max reporting date is July 31st here, 7/31, right? So now let's say I pick another country. So let's show the filter, and then we'll take United States off, and then shout out to my followers in India, right? We'll pick India, right? And you'll notice the max date is A1 or 8/1. The US, the data reported for the US is a day behind. So you have to find a way to report on everyone on the same date, right? So some of the calculations we're going to make basically will say, hey, ignore the max date for non-US countries, right? For all other countries besides the US, right? We need to only report our data as far as the U.S. has data. Otherwise, you'll end up with you'll end up with a curve going up. If you show all the cases, you'll end up with a curve going up and then significantly dropping off at the last date because you don't have U.S. data. So we need to equalize that to only report on the date where U.S. and the rest of the world are together. So some of our calculations are going to address that. To illustrate my point here, you'll see here on this graph, I'm just showing by date, report date, and this is just people positive cases count, right? So this is a native field. It's not a calculation. It's something that's there. I'm sorry, people positive cases count, right? If I go in here, yep, people positive cases count. You'll notice by date, you'll see the number climbing all the way up here, right? When we get to 731 and what happens on 8/1, we didn't go down, this many cases. We just lost the U.S. out of the data. So we have to equalize to account for that. And then I'm going to hit Control-Z. We have a filter here. We're going to create this calculation that basically accounts for backing out the dates so that we will only show where U.S. and rest of the world are on the same date, have data reported on the same dates, right? So just wanted to show you that before we get into it. So enough talking, right? I've been talking for a while. Let's create some fields on our dashboard. All right, so let's create a parameter, right? We're going to go in here. We're going to create a parameter, and I'm going to give it a name. CMLTV for cumulative or new, right? And this is going to be a string, right? And then we want a list, and then I'm going to type cumulative and new, right? So those are our two options on our parameter. And I'm going to say OK, and you'll see that shows up down here in parameters. So now we're going to create some filters, some date calculations, right? And don't worry about if you don't follow along, like what's going on. Hopefully it'll become more apparent once I create all of the calculations needed. So let's go in here. Let's create a calculated field, and then I'm just going to call this underscore. I like to do the underscore because it keeps all your calculated fields up front if you don't have them in a folder. Max date for US, right? So this is going to grab the maximum reporting date for the United States, and I'm just going to, boom, I'm just going to copy this in here, right? So it's a fixed LOD, and basically what we're saying is if the country is the United States, then give us that report date, and then give us the max report date, right, across our data set, right? So if the rest of the world is 8/1, the US is going to be 7/31. So this is going to be useful for us to see that max date for the US. I'm going to say OK. So if I were to bring this in here, and let's change this to exact date. And fun. Let's make this discrete. You'll see it's 7/31 or 7/31/20, right? So that's what we wanted to show. So let's move on to the next calculation here. Date is less than equal to US date. So this is going to be a Boolean, right? So let me get rid of this. We'll do this. We'll create a calculated field, and I'll go underscore date. I'm just going to do this. Date is less than equal to US date, and it's a Boolean. Just gonna do that right here, and then I'm going to copy this from my already completed workbook that I have showed you, right? Date is less than equal to US date. So it's simply the report date, right, in the data set is less than equal to max date for US. Is that true or false? Right. So that's all that's going to show. This filter ensures we're reporting based on the max US date. So I'm going to say OK. Right. So that's calculation 2 down that we need. And so now let's just do we can do one of these. We're going to create another calculated field, and then I'm going to call this max date. max date. Whoops, don't need that. All right. And then this is just going to be the max reporting date in our workbook. So this is fixed LOD. Again, I have videos that addressed fixed level of detail. Go check that out. And we're just pulling the max report date, right? So we need that as well. So the max report date is going to be 8/1. If I were to bring that in, just to show you, right? Again, we'll go to exact date, and then it likes to do all this stuff. We'll make it discrete, and 8/1. That's our max date, right? That's higher than the U.S. date, right? Max date for U.S. If I were to bring that in, again, right? We'll just do it. Exact date, yeah, discrete, because I just want to see it. I'm sure there's a better way to do that, but just want to show you, right? So this is our max date in our data set, 8/1. That's the max date for US, 7/31. So again, we're just setting up these calculations here to help us get a apples to apple date comparison when we're reporting. So, all right, let's do one more here. We're going to create a calculated field, and then this is going to be, I'm just going to copy in the from my workbook here, so you can see. Whoops. Yeah, I guess I could put 5. Yeah, we'll just do this for now. Date is max. Is it the max date? So that's just going to be, is the max date equal to the whatever report date that we are on, right? It's just a true false. I'll even copy over my my comments here so you can see those, right? Used to report on the latest day of data when both US and rest of world data are present. Max date will work with a context filter. You may not know about the context filter to return the max report date when data is available for both US and rest of the world. So again, I'll show you what that is all about, but we need to have this this calculation in here before we move forward. So okay, let's do one of these. Let's do group by folder, and then let's throw these 4 that we just created. We'll do a folders, create folder, and I'll just call this date calcs. Yeah, I can type. Call that date calcs, say OK, and you'll see I have a folder, date calcs, and I have my date calculations within that folder. Good stuff. Okay, let's get in here and let's build out some more calculations. I'm going to go in here, we're going to create a calculated field, and again, this is our public calculation, Tableau public calculation number 1. This is a very important calculation. It's our base calculation that everything else is going to be built off of. So here, let me show you what it does. Copy this in here. So this is our parameter, cumulative or new, right? So if we select new, then I'm going to show people positive new cases count, right? I'm just going to show the new cases on that day, right? If we select cumulative from our parameter, then I'm going to show our cumulative number, right, through that date. That's all this does, just using a parameter. I have a video that shows you how to do something like this. This is, again, our base calculation that's either going to give us our new or our cumulative cases count, right? So we're going to say OK. Right, and actually I can. All right, let's show the parameter. I have new or cumulative. Let's get rid of this. What happens if I put this up here and I want it to be discrete? Right, you'll see. Oh man. All right, so the numbers aren't going to make sense yet. So don't worry about the numbers. Aren't going to make sense because we don't have a date on there. But you can see the parameter is affecting something. Don't worry about what the number means right now, right? So we have that now. Based upon that base calculation that we just created, we're going to do another calculation here. And again, you'll see how all of this this comes together. I'm just going to paste this in here with my comments. And essentially what this calculation is, again, this is a level 2, right? This is level 1, right? So this is a 2, meaning that it builds off of level 1, right? This is going to return us our cases based upon whether it's new or cumulative. And all we're doing here is, right, data's max, true or false. This is our great equalizer kind of calculation. I want to report the newer cumulative cases on the max day that both the U.S. and the rest of the world have data present, right? So if the U.S. and rest of the world, right, have data present on a certain day, I want to see what that number is, right? Be it new or cumulative. So, again, don't get too caught up. You'll see how it comes together. But this is just a way to equalize the U.S. with the rest of the world. So that's a level 2 calculation. That's going to show us. So if I downloaded, again, I downloaded this CSV on August 1st, right? Which means I can only report on July 31st because there's no U.S. data on August 1st. So my max date where we have data for both is going to be on 7/31, and that's what this calculation helps me determine, right? So if it's 7/31, then show me a value, right? Don't show me the 8/1 value. So that's what's going on there. So if you understand that concept, right, for the current day, we're just taking a day off of this, so we can compare the difference between the previous day and the max day where the U.S. and the rest of the world have data. So again, this is going to be, right, this shouldn't be too bad. I'm going to create a calculated field. Boom. You can take a look at that, and I'm just going to copy over the names. I'm just not going to waste time typing here, right? This is number 2. It's a level 2 because it's still using our base calculation. All this is saying is if the difference between our report date, right, the date that's associated with a row of data, and the max date in our data set is 1, then show me cumulative or new positive cases for that day. So essentially, again, if I'm reporting off of 7/31, if that's the max date that I can report off of because the U.S. and the rest of the world have data, then I want to see 7/30, the previous day. And that's what this gives me, the previous day. So that is useful as well. Okay, so we've built out a lot of calculations. Let's take a look at some of the pre-built stuff that I have. Don't worry, we're going to build out all of this stuff, but I just want to show you what we've done. So this is my built out copy, and we've created all the date calcs, and we've created the level 1 and level 2 here, right? And so what's the level 1? The level 1 is going to show us, that's our base calculation, whether it's cumulative or new, right? We change cumulative or new, right? New cases on our max date, and those are cumulative cases. And so what this is right here, this is the current day cumulative or new. That's what that 17.3 million is that we built out. And then the previous day is this 17,069. Now we haven't built out the level 3s here, right? The percent difference, and you have to calculate the actual difference to get the percent difference. We'll do that, and we haven't created the sign values yet that go here. But just wanted to show you where these calculations go on the BAN that we're trying to build out. And so we'll do that. Now, another thing that I wanted to show you, okay, what I want to show here, I've laid out all of the date calcs here, or most of the date calcs here. You'll see I put up here the date is less than or equal to US date, which is a Boolean, true or false. The date is max, true or false. The report date, the max date for US, and max date. I've kind of laid them out there. If you're going to put them up here, make sure these first 2 come in as dimensions, and then I have the exact date, and they are discrete in order to show the dates here. So it's kind of a 1-2 punch here in order to find the value that I want to report on. I want to report on that 17.3 million for cumulative, and obviously that'll change if I go new here. That'll change to 289,000, right? So for cumulative here cases, it's a 1-2 punch in order to get this number, right? So let's look at this first filter, right? I want to find, right, all of the dates that are shared between the US and the rest of the world, right? So if we look at our data, right, all of these dates from, right, 12/31/2019, you see it's still true here, from 12/31/2019 all the way to 7/31/2020 are shared between the US and the rest of the world. Because you remember, US only goes up to 7/31, rest of the world is 8/1. So I don't want to show 8/1 data. So that's what this filter lets me do. It lets me get rid of 8/1, right? Going back here, right? I have this filter on. I only show values that go up to 7/31. When I take this filter off, I get 8/1. I don't want to report on that, right? That's a wrong number. I'm going to Control Z back here. So that's what this first filter lets me do, right? And then we can, if you want to take a look and, take a look and see what it's doing. Again, I would say set this up and then play with it yourself, right? Where the report date is less than or equal to the max date for the US, right? Those are dates that I care about reporting on. Now, within this true set, right, I need to find the max date, right, from this filtered set that is shared between the US and the rest of the world. So yes, I've narrowed down all of our common dates, but I need to find the max date in order to report this number. So that's what this date is max true false does, right? It puts a true here so I can say, oh, okay, 7/31, that is the date where the US has the max, a max of 7/31, and then this is the max date that is less than or equal to the US date, or basically it's equal to the US date. So now I can grab that 17.3 million, right? So that is my current day, that's 17.3, and then the previous day is just a date difference going back one day to get 17.069 there. So just know it's a 1-2 punch, right? Two filters. Hey, what are all the dates that the US and the rest of the world share in common? And within that set, what is the max date within that set? Great, you've identified that as 7/31, go get the value. So that's all we're doing there. And then you can lay this out and then just play around, open up some of the calcs and play around with them, put them on here and see how they interact. But basically what I told you at a high level is how this works. Okay, let's quickly go back to building out the rest of the calculations that we need for our band. So I'm going to come back here, right? This is where we have these. We only have the level 1 and level 2 built out, so we're going to build out a level 3 here. That's just going to give us the difference between our max date and the previous day, right? So that's very fairly simple, right? We're just using the two level 2s. Our current day minus previous day, that's going to give us the difference in cumulative or new cases, right? And I'm just going to copy this in here. You can see the name. That is the name. I'm going to say OK, right? We have a level 3 there. And now we just need the percentage. So same, very similar. Create a calculated field. You'll look and see what's going on here. We have the current day minus the previous day divided by the previous day. That's going to give us a percentage, right? So again, fairly straightforward here. No surprises. Just going to put that on here, and I'm going to say OK. If you want to see the exact names that I'm using, right, you can take a look, right? And then now we're going to get into the sign, the Unicode symbol. It's going to be a triangle that's up, a circle, or down, right? And so let's go ahead and build out our 3 signs calculations. We're going to create another calculated field, and then I'm just going to copy in. All right, take a look at that. If our difference in cumulative or new positive cases is less than 0, right, then show the down Unicode symbol here. And you're thinking, where can I get, where can I get that symbol? And so here, let me show you, right? We can do, so it's going to take that. That's good. That's our sign difference there. We can go to Wikipedia, right? And so I may have this pulled up already. Geometric shapes. Yeah, so if you go here to Wikipedia, right, you'll see that there are a number of Unicode shapes, and then you can just grab, right, I could literally just copy this and paste it into Tableau, right, as you saw me, paste in the formula. If you were to paste this, it would go right into Tableau. So you can use Wikipedia, or you can just search for Unicode geometric shapes, and you should be good to go, right? So let's go back in here. We have our first sign. And then, what I could do, well, I could duplicate, but that's all right. We're going to create a calculated field. I already have all this stuff pre-built out as I've shown you, right? So this is what happens when the difference is equal to 0, then show just a circle here, right? And then we're going to give that a name. I'm just going to paste that in here. Oop. Where our sign difference in cumulative or new positive cases is the same. Say OK, right? You'll see that show up here. We did down, same. Now we're going to do up, right? So I'm just going to we're going to go in here, create a calculated field, right? And then just give this a name. It's the same format. This is just going to be up, right? Say OK. All right, so we have everything we need now to build out our KPI or our BAN, right? So I'm going to highlight all of this. We're going to right-click, and I'm going to say create folders, add to create folder. There we go. Let's create a folder. And what do we want to call this? We will call this our just KPI calcs or something to that effect. Right, just KPI calcs, right? And it puts it there for us in that grouping so we can at least see where everything is there. So nice and easy to work with. So now we are going to build out the actual KPI on this sheet. Okay, so we finally have all our calculations. Let's start putting stuff on the worksheet here, right? So let's drag our current day onto text, right? That shows up. Let's drag our previous day onto text as well, right? Let's take our parameter, throw that on the text, and let's drag our 3 signs, right? So we're just gonna hold down Control, drag all these. We're going to throw these on the text. And then our difference in percentage, right, versus previous day. We're going to throw that on the text. So now, right, everything's here. We just need to format. I'm just going to, so I brought up the tooltip, and we don't need anything on the tooltip. We're just going to get rid of that, blank everything out so nothing shows up. I don't need this. Let's hide the title. Let's get in here and try and format this thing to something useful here. So, okay, so this, I'm going to write positive cases, and then you can preview these things as we go along. So new positive cases, because my parameter is new, not cumulative. It says new. So again, back to the preview, new positive cases. All right, and then let's make this. Let's go with 14 here. Let's hype that up a little bit. So now our sum of current day cumulative or new positive cases, right? This is our number. This is our BAN, our big audacious number, if you know what I'm saying. Let's make this guy really big and audacious. We'll go 24 here. We could actually, do I want to bold that or not? Let's try to bold it. If we don't like it, we can take it off. Okay, so now you'll see that we have 3 signs here. So actually, I'm going to take, I wonder if I can do this. I'm going to get rid of the previous. That actually needs to be down here. If it lets me, if that works, fine. If not, we'll reinsert it in. So we'll preview. Okay, so it put it down. It put the previous day down there. So you see we're coming along here, right? Okay, so now we have 3 signs. And actually, we want to get rid of this right here in the middle, because we want our 3 signs. And then we want, see how we have our 3 signs? And then we want that, let's put this right, let's put that right here for now. So let's preview, and we still have a little space here. So let's bring our 3 signs all in the same line, and I'll explain how this works. So those are our 3 signs. I'm going to get rid of this space if I can, right? So we want it to show, let's go ahead and preview this again. All right, so you see we have that and null, null. That's okay. So let's get rid of that for. So let's go ahead. Let's try and get this on the same line if we can, right? I just backed that up, and then I'm going to say we're actually going to write here verse previous day, right? And again, always previewing, always previewing. All right, so we just need to format this percentage. That's okay. We have versus the previous day. Okay, so what we're going to do now is for down, right? We want to make down green because down is good, right? So we're going to make down, we'll just make that green. For cases up, we don't like cases up, right? We're going to make that red. And again, apologies for the stoplight. Understand color blindness, but you know, you can change the colors as needed. For the same, we're gonna keep that the same. And so now let's preview that. Okay, and we'll deal with the null later. And we have that. So let's say if I say OK. Oh, you'll see that it doesn't. We just need to expand this out, right? And you'll notice it doesn't show the null. It just shows us the value that we need. Okay, and now let me go back in here. I thought I had it in the middle. There we go. In the middle there. And so there you go. I mean, this is pretty much it. All we need to do is kind of format this our percentage difference, right? So if we format our percentage difference from the previous day, just go in here, default properties, number format. Let's see if I can get that percentage. Let's go 1, right? And that'll give us 27.3% versus the previous day, right? New positive cases. What we need to do. Yes, we need to make sure that we have our correct filtering in here, right? We definitely want to make sure we have that. So what we're going to do is we're going to add our very important filter here, date is less than equal to US date. We need to equalize our dates. I only want to show the values when the US and the rest of the world both have data reported, right? So let's bring in our main filter here. And we want this to be true, right? When both of the rest of the world and the US have data. Say OK, and you'll say, oh, what happened? Now, what we need to do in order to make this work, we have to add this to the context. And so, you know, leave a comment if you want me to do a little video on what adding to context means. I'll be happy to do that, but just know right now, you have to add this filter to context in order for everything to calculate correctly. There's our 17.3 million right there. And then through the magic of editing, right, we've got, sometimes my fonts like to get fuzzy here. So through the magic of editing, we've got our clean font back. So again, that's our number, 17.358 on cumulative, and then on new, 289,000, and we're down versus the previous day. So you've got that KPI. And so once you have, this is the hardest part, right? You've got that. Right, this is the toughest part, building out that KPI. But once you have this built out, like we've done this for new positive cases, we would just repeat the same process for deaths if we wanted this KPI for deaths. Right, I'm not going to do it, but you know, all you would have to do is just instead of using new positive cases, right? Instead of using people positive cases count and people positive new cases count, you just sub in death count and death new count, right? And you could build a completely different KPI ban, right? So now we can do this. We can create a new sheet, and I'm going to drag our base calc, right, to rows, And I'm going to take our report date and drag that to columns. And let's make sure that this is exact date and discrete. And it's looking like that because I'm showing new cases, but let's go to cumulative so I can show you this. So you'll notice, right, just as I showed you before, this is what we want up until this date, because this is the max date where we have both US and rest of the world data. And so on our next day, we don't want to show this going down just because the US hasn't reported yet, right? So what we need to do, again, our main filter, put that in there. Make sure it's true, say OK, and now we're only going up to 7/31, right? Because if you look at our main filter, right, the report date has to be less than or equal to the max date for the US, which is 8/30. The max date for US is 7/31. So only show our report date up to 7/31 or less. So that's what's going on there. We don't have to add this one to context. It doesn't hurt. But, you know, just wanted to show that you have to have this filter in here. And this is the effect that you get. And you can make this an area. And basically, that's how they build out, right? If we go back, that's basically all this is. Now, granted, we're showing new here. If we go to cumulative, right, that's all this is. And, you know, and again, through the magic of editing, we've got this cleaned up. So again, that's all this is right here. So you made it this far. Congratulations. You know, just wanted to show you because, you know, you can use this for other dashboards, right? You know, some of the concepts in here I've used on some other things just by breaking this down. So hope you found this useful. Leave a comment again if you learned something. If you'd like me to continue on, if you want to know how this right here, so the positive cases and deaths, right, by changing that, you see how it affects the map and our cases here, and you'll see that this has got thrown out of whack. And again, through the magic of editing, everything is back to normal. But if you think there's value in learning how this extra parameter affects our map and our bar charts, I'll be happy to continue on in this series. So let me know with your likes, let me know with your comments. This has been Anthony Smoak. Hope you enjoyed this tip. Get out there, do some great things with your data. Thanks for watching, everyone.